What's up, guys? Hugh Carnahan, W2 to Millionaire, and I am one of the laziest millionaires that you've ever met. I lazily became a millionaire, and so I'm going to apply that to one thing that's near and dear to my heart, which is figuring out food production with little to no effort. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my journey around permaculture, an intro to what this channel is about, then what's going on around me, and then I'm going to share with you a little bit about how I got here today and my journey over the last year. My qualifications around permaculture are zero. I do not know what I'm doing. You should highly question anything that I say because it's probably wrong. And it'll also lead you on your own journey because permaculture is really crazy in that no one is an actual expert. They just know that and do the best they can for their situation at their time. So if you know something I don't, please comment it below, add a link to it. I will go watch it, learn as much as I can. My background is in industrial manufacturing and lean, and I am all about reducing human waste and burden to make it super easier for humans to do their job. I've applied that to my finances, which is how I became a millionaire so quickly, but this channel is about how I'm applying that to farming, homesteading, and food production. We're gonna get into it now. Step one of creating my very first food forest. Now, if you take a look at this is a condition of most of our soil. Even the parts that are green, this is what lies directly underneath. Back in the 70s, they took a bulldozer and scraped this hilltop flat to use the dirt to build a house behind me. Well, the condition of the dirt is that it's all red clay here in Missouri. What we're gonna do, step one, is basically getting the soil to where we want that, and we're gonna be using the back to Eden method. I have no idea what I'm doing. If you do know, I love your ideas, your input, put them in the comments because you're just gonna watch us adapt on the fly because I don't know what I'm doing. My background is in industrial manufacturing and my real job is a process engineer. I'm very, very good with processes and making things low effort on human beings. Permaculture is a perfect hand in hand where it lends itself well to that. So, here's the very first unification. Step one, this huge field is going to be turned into a permaculture food forest, 7 layers, canopy, dwarf trees, shrub layer, all those same things. We'll get into that later. Step one is we need to fix this soil. Now, if you read Mark Shepard's Regenerative Agriculture, he's going to say, don't do this. This is mulching the ground. And you don't have any idea where that mulch is coming from and what could be living in it. But you can also go and take a look at James Prigioni on the gardening channel that share the back to Eden method, where step one is put mulch down and fix the soil. Permaculture purists will say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that. Why would you amend the soil? Why don't you let nature do it? Totally real world thinking. That's absolutely the case. Those same people then also might jump into a car, drive to the grocery store, releasing fossil fuels. So I don't mind using what I have available to me to expedite the process. That does not mean I'm gonna go and buy a bunch of fertilizers and stuff like that and start amending the soil exactly. Though I could do that, it would just make the process faster. So I'm choosing to use this mulch where this is a massive field. It's 2 football fields by 2 football fields. It's basically a square. Well, where am I gonna get that much mulch? Isn't that gonna be expensive? Well, I'm actually getting it all for free, and I'm getting it spread for nearly free. If you look behind me here, you have a tree service. That tree service needs somewhere to dump these. So I gave my local tree service a call and said, I will give you a place to dump all your wood chips until I don't need them anymore. You can dump them, but you can only dump hardwoods. I don't want cedar, I don't want pine. So they mostly do that. That tree company is subcontracted by the power department, and they're always trimming limbs that could be dangerous, and they're getting rid of those. Most of it's not brambles. However, there very well could be. On the footage right now you're seeing is them taking a bunch of walnut trees, throwing the walnuts through the chipper. And as you're seeing that, all that stuff could be in these wood chip piles, or probably is. It's a double-edged sword. One, I'm getting a strong carbon layer on the top to begin the composition process, and the trees are gonna start breaking down into high amounts of nitrogen for me. I'm getting all of that for free by allowing them to dump it. Then I take this tractor and I just run over it until it's semi-flat. The downside, again, is that I could have random stuff, brambles, bushes. I could have black locust trees all mixed in here that could be invasive, and probably is. That is now mixed in, and I could be battling that for years into the future. To that I say, that sounds like a problem for future you. Today I'm worried about not having soil, so I can't create a beautiful food forest, and I'm gonna try that. Again, zero experience, zero idea. I've read Restoration Agriculture by Mark Shepard's, Water for Any Farm by Mark Shepard's, really learned a lot about Wallapeenies, learned a lot about earth ships, learned a lot from the gardening channels for backyard gardeners, and I'm gonna be designing this system with a few major caveats. One, it's gotta be completely self-sufficient and extremely low maintenance. What does that mean? For me, I'm not gonna do very much effort to maintain this, and the reason why is because I'd rather let nature do its thing. So I'm gonna do more work on the front end thinking and less work on the back end doing. I might get into some alley cropping with my gardens being in between the rows of trees. I might get into some silvopasture, as right now I just have chickens, I might add to that. I don't know. What I do know is I want it to be low maintenance, me do very little to no work, have abundant harvests all the time, and not be lugging water out here and doing these things. All of this started at the beginning of Roni Rona when I decided to apply my industrial and manufacturing skill set to chicken coop, because I wanted chickens. I got very interested in figuring out food production, and like many of you, I stumbled upon the world that nature kind of knows its shit, and we should just follow that, and it's way easier for us, which is how I found permaculture. Now I'm trying to take the human effort even more out of that with my background and encompass tons of things like the low input stuff. So this is a self-sustaining chicken coop right here. I try to get the door operating off of solar panels, automatic door, electric fence that is here. I've got dogs in the dog run that surround the chicken coop for protection. And then it, on the backside, collects its own water, and then that water then feeds them throughout most of the summer. In the wintertime, I've got to manually do it. I haven't figured that out yet. But this started me on the journey. Then I applied those skills over to gardening. So what you see behind me is a garden that faces south on the side of my house. Also on a slight slope, and I use the Ruth stout method. That is my qualifications, is I garden with the Ruth stout method. Before making a food forest, that's all I know. So all of this is set up where all the vining trellises up the back. As it's trellising up the back, everything's at waist level. I don't water the garden, I don't weed the garden, I don't do anything. I planted everything in the spring. Here it is in the very beginning of October. This is the last bit of the garden before the first frost comes and wipes it all out, but everything is at waist level. All the fruit and tomato, when they grow, they hang down through here. This is nothing new to a lot of you guys because you're talking about a tunnel trellis. Well, I got the idea from a tunnel trellis. On the front half of the garden, I had the things that would bloom and need light early on. So as the summer progressed and the back end of this got deeper and deeper, I would do less work with it. So strategically doing that, and then I have the vining trellis come up. These tomatoes are up front by accident because the tomatoes dropped there last year. Well, it wasn't until midway through summer I realized that we have tomatoes growing in the front. Here they are by accident. We have free food that I planted 2 years ago, and here it is coming back today. So I also have a rotten, dilapidated hay bale right here. And you're gonna see a video in the fall of me snagging this hay bale, cutting the twines, and just doing the chop and drop here and covering it all with hay. Then I'm gonna plant garlic. That's gonna be the end of my gardening. I do very little of anything because I'm one of the laziest people you've ever met. I'm so lazy, and I wanted to be a millionaire, and so I had to outthink things, and so I ended up being a millionaire in 15 months because I had to outthink how to get money. Now I'm trying to outthink how do I have nature do natural things instead of me gardening and tilling and doing all this stuff to make it do what I want. Why don't I just let it do what it wants, and then I'll let it do what I want it to do by letting it do what it wants. Which led me to bees. Well, bees are a huge amount of work in the American traditional beekeeping sense. Well, I'm not all about that. So I started researching ways of keeping bees that's almost zero effort, which led me to natural beekeeping, or keeping bees with a smile. You can find more information at horizontalhive.com. I don't know them, they're just badass, and I got all their crap from them. But you basically keep bees, and then they will pollinate your garden. Well, after I got into beekeeping and figured out horizontal hive, where I do zero effort to keep the bees alive, no medicating, I can harvest honey as I choose to. If I don't choose to, they're fine till the next year. Super low effort beekeeping. As I got into that, I started looking into wildflowers. And wildflowers is what led me to say, well, if the bees need wildflowers, why should I care about wildflowers? Why not get flowers that do something useful for me? And so that's led me to building a food forest. And that's what you see the beginning of behind me, is I'll have wildflowers, but why just have wildflowers? If I'm gonna go through the effort of planting something, why not plant something, work once, pay many, right? That's all the things I do, work once, pay many. I'm not gonna go to my 9-to-5 job because the moment I stop going to the 9-to-5 job, I don't have any more money. Same thing, annual gardening. You gotta plant every year, you gotta do all these things. Well, if you plant a perennial ecosystem, then you work once and you reap the benefits over a long period of time with some basic maintenance. This is step one, guys. I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you wanna see an idiot that doesn't know anything, try to do something he is not qualified to do, then like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode. Woo!